Hey everybody, what's up? Just hit 1500 subs at the time of making this video, and I just couldn't be happier. You guys rock, but that's not the topic of today's video. Nope, today's video I'm going to talk about 3 reasons why Destiny 2 will likely be terrible. Now, just to be clear, these videos are of me voicing my opinion for the minority of the community that feels this way. I know the majority of Destiny players probably don't really care as much about the future of Destiny as I do, but that's only because I really wanted to see this franchise be the best that it could be from day one, and it hasn't been, nor will I believe it will be. And that is because, reason 1, Bungie is led by a bunch of executives who are only in it to play it safe and make their game that applies to the lowest common denominator. Don't believe me? Well, let's just look at the story. It's vague, underdeveloped, the characters have no growth, you don't care about any of them. The story and the setting, the light, the darkness, it's all so ambiguous and cliche. Only recently did the Taken King expansion even try to alleviate some of these issues that were plaguing the original game's story, but to no avail. There was still very little depth, and a lot of story threads were left just wide open to drift out there in space. Like with the Queen and all of the Awoken that supposedly died. Like, what happened to them? What's going to happen to them? Nobody knows. Sure, there were some actual cutscenes this time around, and some of them had a decent amount of length, at least 30 seconds to a minute long, but that is a far cry compared to the way Destiny in 2013 was supposed to be. Because remember, as I said before, the cutscenes were supposed to be, before the alterations to the story, 30 seconds long at the beginning of the mission, and then 3 to 5 minutes in length at the end. And the Taken King was far short of that. And then there's the other fact, where Bungie's executives were saying that Destiny 2013 story was too esoteric, and if you look up that in the dictionary, it basically means to be understood by only a certain amount of people, or those who have a specialized amount of knowledge about the subject. So basically, they were afraid of complexity, and they still are. It's been a whole year. 3 expansions. They have had 3 chances to make the story more complex and to take the gravity of the story and the depth and match it to that of the Grimoire cards, which still retain a lot of the awesomeness that we like as you know, Destiny players that came from Halo. And none of that's there. None of it. And this whole past year has shown me personally that they will likely never have that sort of depth and complexity in their story that Halo does, or at least the previous Halos. I don't know about Halo 5. I heard a lot of things about Halo 5's story that just aren't quite up to par with other Halo games in the past. But that said, I'd say it's still better than what Destiny's giving us right now, and what will likely Destiny 2 will be giving us. Destiny's lore and potential, in my opinion, has the ability to transcend Halos. It has the potential to ascend higher than Halos ever did, but it's never going to be capitalized on, because the safest way to make money and to bring in the biggest audience to your game is to make something that plays to the lowest common denominator. It's sad, but it's true. But that's just the first reason, folks. We have 2 more. The second reason why I feel Destiny will likely be terrible is simply due to Bungie's equipment and technology that they're using to craft Destiny seems to either be woefully outdated or incredibly inefficient in such a way that it takes them, almost a day at a time to make any sort of edit to their game, which is completely ridiculous. I couldn't even imagine. And according to the latest ball-busting article from Otaku about Destiny, 4 sources from inside of Bungie said that the tools that they use to design levels, render graphics, and create content are an inhibiting factor in the game's development. And they go on to say, let's say a designer wants to go in and move a resource node 2 inches. They go into the editor, and it takes them overnight to load their map. 8 hours. To load up, say, the Cosmodrome. 8 hours just to load it up. And then, if it doesn't crash, they go into it. It takes about 20 minutes to open. They go in, they move it for 2 feet or whatever, do whatever edit they need to do, and then it takes 15 to 20 minutes to compile. And that's just for that like half-second change. I couldn't even imagine designing the entirety of the game. Like, they must have their systems running like weeks at a time just to make it efficient and save on time, because when it takes that long to load anything, you're never going to want to close it down. I personally thought the time it took to work on the expansions, remember how Destiny launched and then it took, you know, about 3 months for the next expansion to came out? I was expecting the expansion to come out a good deal faster, you know, maybe have an expansion every 2 months. But when it took longer than that, I was like, oh, Bungie must be being lazy. But that's not actually the case. It's their tools that are slowing them down to that point. And it makes me feel like either the executives or Activision or both just don't care enough to change up the engine in a way that would allow for faster development, more efficient workloads, and just more content for the players, which would mean a happier user base. But as with everything so far, a new engine would cost a considerable amount of money, and it's not like they can just update Destiny with a new engine. They'd have to use a new engine completely for Destiny 2, and since Destiny 2 is probably less than a year out from release, it's very, very unlikely that they will be changing the engine for Destiny 2, which means we're going to have the same amount of slow content that we've had in Destiny 1, because the engine will not be changing.
Oh, but Kojinto, the microtransactions are going to make it so that Bungie can get money without doing DLC, and they can give us like a lot of free content and quick updates faster because it funds like more people to work on the game.
No, that is incorrect. I am sorry to say. I wish it were true, but I don't believe the content will be substantial enough to rival 1 or 2 DLC packs like the first 2 have in year 1 of Destiny. No. And while I can't say that this will be the case definitively, we have seen a sneak peek at least of some of the content that they'll be bringing to us that have been funded supposedly by microtransactions, and of course I'm talking about the Halloween event that was just released. And while this new Halloween update is pretty cool, it gives us a new multiplayer map, which is mostly permanent. I'm not entirely sure what that means, but I kind of wish it was always permanent. But that said, it gives us other things as well, like a few masks that are fun to play with if you're somewhat of a casual. I mean, the thing is though, the masks replace your helmets, and it would be useless for anything other than like straight up Crucible, no Iron Banner, and anything, nothing like that. You couldn't even really use it in PvE if your helmet was important to you build wise. So like I said, that's just there for fun. It's not really anything substantial though. For microtransactions to be anywhere near worth it in a $60 AAA game, the content provided by such transactions need to be of the same kind of quality. I'm talking AAA quality here. I'm talking way more maps than just 1 per month, if that's even the rate that they're going to attempt. I'm talking more patches, bigger patches, more fixes, give us more community wanted or community requested content, more strikes, revamp the old strikes, give us a ton more exotic weapons and armor, give us more emote slots or an emote wheel so that we can buy more of your emotes and spend more money. I mean, the list goes on and time keeps running out. But that all said, I'm not convinced that this amount of content, even every month, is enough to sustain the community in between comet releases, which are annual, once a year big updates. No, it's not going to work for Destiny 1, and it's definitely not going to work for Destiny 2. Those are my top 3 reasons why I feel that Destiny 2 will likely be terrible. If you enjoyed the video, please pound that like button down below. If you're not feeling too shy, leave a comment. Let me know what your opinions are on the subject. I'm going to hop back in game, guys, and I will catch you next time. Also, Bungie really needs to fix their fucking loot system.